All right, everybody. Welcome to another news roundup from the Crowdsourced Politics podcast crew. I'm the host and moderator of Crowdsourced Politics, Anthony Rivera-Strain. And today I am joined by Mateo de Gaulle.
Yo, what's up?
And Afrodelo Riviera.
Hello.
If this is your first time joining us on one of these things, we are a podcast born out of a little debate community on Facebook. We've been podcasting for about a year, and we decided over the last couple of months to do a weekly news roundup, which you are turning into now. We try to cover the week's news up from Wednesday to Wednesday, and hit those notes and give the analysis that only we can provide on different newsy topics. So obviously today we have some big news about the Biden swearing in. As far as I am aware, nothing popped off anywhere. I don't think that was going to happen really much at all.
Not after the 6th.
Yeah, not after the 6th. Once somebody dies, things get real, right? So, but how did either of you like the inauguration? Did you feel that Biden had good things to say? Do you think it should have been done inside? What's your opinions on the inauguration itself?
I think it was pretty standard.
Yeah.
I mean, it didn't get me that much. I mean, I hardly watched that much of it as it is because it's usually just a pageant. Mm-hmm. But nothing stood out. There would be headlines if there was something.
Yeah, I watched the whole thing. In terms of like the pomp and circumstance, I didn't feel that anything was missing from previous inaugurations. I'm sure that it was far more understated. And because of that, I think some things actually stuck out a little bit more than they would. Biden gave a regular speech, but I think it was basically the perfect tenor. It wasn't an American carnage speech, and it wasn't all like flighty hopes and dreams either. It was kind of like, these are our direct challenges, and it was optimistic in terms of meeting them. And I think I like the gift giving ceremony. I thought that was cool, and I feel like that was maybe something that got buried in all of the celebrity of previous inaugurations, like just those little gestures where Nancy Pelosi and Mitch McConnell gave gifts to the newly sworn in people. That was pretty cool.
Okay, I guess that's a fair assessment. I didn't get a chance to watch it live. I was doing some interviews today. One actually went for almost 4 hours, so that was ridiculous. But I did get to catch some of it, and yeah, I kind of agree with that. It was kind of understated. I did like the way they set up the flags and that sort of thing to give it like some more oomph, despite the fact that a lot of people weren't there. One of our community members had said that they wish that it was just done indoors, and or Zoom or whatever to reduce the amount of people that would there and potentially exposed to COVID, especially with the pandemic and all that stuff. And I don't entirely disagree or agree with that statement. I think that there's reason to think that might have been more proper than what transpired. But at the same time, we've had inaugurations during, the Civil War, and we had inaugurations during World War II and that sort of thing. And people kind of seem to want to celebrate these kind of things, or at least did in the past. And so I don't really hold it against anybody that this still happened in the manner that it did.
I mean, if you made a big deal about social distancing and every chance you got kind of demonize someone for doing it and then all of a sudden brush this aside, I could see taking issue with it.
No, that's definitely fair for the hypocrisy angle. In that regard, I tend to see things done outdoors to be a little bit safer, especially if they're enforcing distancing.
Oh yeah, actually, wait, their alternative was indoors, right?
Yeah, I think. Well, the alternative.
Yeah, now that I think of it, that doesn't make sense.
Meaning indoors, as in like the least amount of people doing it as possible. So just having the Supreme Court, whoever it was that was swearing in both President Biden and Vice President Kamala Harris, having those people and then everybody else being like zoomed in to do the give their speeches or whatever. And like I said, I don't see anything necessary. I see both sides of it on this one. They did, from what I did catch, have the seating for anybody that was in attendance like grouped in families, and then 6 feet to 12 feet apart from the next group of seats.
Yeah,
So,
like
they did take precaution.
indoor dining in New York. I mean, I think there's a lot of exaggeration about, you know, how little people have been able to do, and so it kind of feeds this idea that there's something unfair about having, you know, a ceremony that happens every 4 years for, you know, for centuries, is like somehow bad. But you could also come at it from a public health perspective, which is, will people get sick from that? Probably somebody will get sick. But any more than they would if they just went to work at the Senate or whatever the office building is. It slips my mind. What's the name of the Senate office building?
Not entirely sure, to be honest.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I didn't know it had a name. I just figured it was all part of the.
Well, there are a couple of buildings, the complexes, and I used to know what they all were because I used to write postcards. But I'm a little flaky today.
I gotta look that up now. I'm actually interested in that. Mm-hmm. I'll forget it once I read it, but it's cool to know.
I'll look it up. I was done anyway, so somebody else should talk.
So during Biden's speech, which I didn't get to watch, was there anything in particular that jumped out with this speech? Is there anything that he should have mentioned during the speech? I think Afri did say it was a little more subdued than normal.
No, I don't think it was. I think it was pretty much a Joe Biden speech. You know, it was very even keeled. But okay. I mean, if you look back on the speech from 4 years ago, that shit was crazy. And Obama's speech in 2008 is like at this point it's been quoted over and over again, you know, the things that he said. So I think for this it was like some people might, if you weren't really paying attention to it, you might come away feeling a bit underwhelmed. He gave the delivery was great, but it was subtle, I think. Okay. And the parts of it that weren't subtle were the really optimistic parts, but he didn't shy away. He didn't say American carnage, but he didn't shy away from stating, I think, that this isn't all just celebrating and like happy days are here again, you know, age of Aquarius like is going around on Facebook. Yeah, there was the high note, I guess, was the optimism or what was in high relief.
Okay, and that makes a lot of sense to me. Mateo, do you have any thoughts about it?
Like I said, I missed a lot of it. Lady Gaga's dress was pretty crazy. That's one of the parts I picked. My knowledge of what happened today is so limited. I got to dig into that.
Okay. I'm gonna have to look that up. Maybe we can show our viewers. Let me see.
Yeah.
Lady
it was
festive.
Really.
Yes. Duration 2021. Oh, what? She wore the red carpet.
I mean, considering it's Lady Gaga, that's pretty muted. I mean,
it was
not
for
a
her.
Dress.
Yeah, it's pretty conservative for her standards.
It's so funny. My husband said, "Where's the meat dress?"
Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking of when I said that. It's like she doesn't have a meat hat or anything.
I gotta get this on camera. I'm going to work to get this on camera so people can see it. In the meantime, what are we all hoping for the Biden? Okay, let's take it back. Instead of focusing on what we hope for the Biden administration, one of the pieces of news is that we know that some Republicans are going to object to the fast track process for getting his people in to positions, senior level positions to come from that required to be confirmed. What are your thoughts about that? And is this an issue, or is this something that it's pretty par for the course and nobody should be really mad about it?
I wouldn't expect anything more. I didn't think that this was going to. I don't think it'll be enough people that it really holds it up for too long, but there are enough of them. Some of them probably showed up at the inauguration as well. Looking at you, Ted Cruz, got in front of that camera as many times as you could. Yeah, but I wasn't expecting them to do anything else. I expect actually that it would get worse. But now I feel like maybe it won't. Maybe it'll be all these symbolic moves like refusing to confirm people, fast track confirmation instead of long drawn out horrible Benghazis one after the other.
I just love how Ted Cruz is such a political whore. Like Trump defamed him and his family in the most sleaziest of ways, and he was still just riding that guy's sack. And now, like when Biden's walking into office, he's at the inauguration. Everything's normal, back to business, like nothing ever happened.
Yeah,
as far as fast.
Oh, go ahead.
Sorry.
Go ahead. No.
As far
continue.
as fast tracking go, I mean, that was kind of beside my point. As far as fast tracking goes, I mean, that's their prerogative. You kind of expect it. I mean, when it comes to Yellen, they should fast track her. She's a champ. There's no one who's going to be better at that job than her for that position. But other people, if you have concerns, sure, go for it. But if they start pushing back on Yellen, I'm going to start doubting their sincerity.
Right.
Yeah, no, for sure. That does make a ton of sense, especially for Yellen. I think I would hold the same position for, is it Lincoln?
Yeah, Secretary of State.
Secretary of State Anthony Blinken. And I think I'd hold the same thing because he's he's been involved in Secretary of State like things forever, since the Clinton administration, even as like kind of not a low staffer but of a staffer, and there's no reason to try to hold something like that up as far as I'm concerned with that. So yeah, I don't see a reason to hold him up either. And for our viewers, I did get the picture up. As you can see, she was wearing the red carpet. Like it's huge. So
it was awesome. I would love to wear that.
It looks nice. It's huge though. Like I don't know how she could walk in that. That's
there's like
talent.
a mile of fabric in
right?
that. Yeah.
To your point, Mateo, about Ted Cruz, and I know that was kind of off point, but I want to mention or a party that cares so much about being quote unquote manly. He basically rolled over, like they call everybody cucks. His wife literally got degraded in front of him by Trump.
Figuratively, he was cucked.
He was cucked, yeah. He was figuratively
in a political
cucked. Ridiculous.
Yeah, Ted is. It's so sad because it's almost like I bet you if he didn't get crapped all over by Trump, he wouldn't even have thought about growing that beard. Like he probably, you could just tell like he just got so dragged through the dirt, and he's still like showing up like everything's fine.
So the beard is figurative too.
I would say that's a figurative beard as well.
Oh yeah, no, it's yeah. Like mine's not. Mine is luxurious.
No,
but
you guys
Ted Cruz
have
definitely
legit
grew that.
beards. Yeah.
Ted Cruz is another
He
story.
it on. It's done with makeup. We did have a
But
question.
seriously though, like,
go ahead.
I'm sorry, I just want to go back to Ted Cruz
go
1
for
second. Like to get so publicly just embarrassed. Like it's not even like it was like a real hearty argument, and the guy was just too cocky against him, kind of like insulting his intelligence. It was like straight up like your family killed Kennedy, you're dirtbags. Like you don't really forgive that. Like, I mean, maybe I could understand for political expediency, but
But it wasn't just that he let it go and went about his business. It's like you said, he got down on his knees every single day for Trump. Again, figuratively. I'm not accusing him of anything.
And even if he did that would be fine.
Yes.
We're not one to make fun of people for their sexual proclivities.
I'd actually have preferred that. At least it would have been behind closed doors and he wouldn't have been embarrassing himself. What was the question? We got a question.
What was it?
So the question was Lady Gaga wearing a Hunger Games pin? And I honestly don't know the answer to that.
Somebody mentioned that in the trading group I was in. I didn't get the reference because I never watched it. What does that mean?
I don't know. It was a giant eagle anyway.
Yeah.
Or Hunger Games.
Second time I heard that. Now it's something I got to look into.
Oh, I looked up what the names of the Senate office buildings are.
Twitter is living for the Hunger Games inspired Mockingjay pin Lady Gaga wore to the inauguration. It's gigantic too. I don't know how I didn't see that in the picture that I showed everybody.
It's half of her shirt.
It's
it's
literally
really
half
big.
of her shirt. Like, how did that get obscured in the one photo I found? So
She had a lot of hair though. She had a lot of hair too. So it might have been covering it.
To answer your question, CDN, they were she did wear something of that nature. But I don't know if it was actually a Hunger Games pin so much as it just kind of looked the same. But
that'd be some hard symbolism to work out if it was Hunger Games.
Right. So of course people are gonna be like, "Oh, look, the elites are back in charge now. Get your table scraps, guys." That's what's gonna happen. We all know it.
That's a subtle troll.
Yeah. It's gonna be a big one. People are gonna try to find all the stuff.
Yeah, I love how everything's like
be forever in your favor.
Who is that?
CDN.
Nice.
So we talked a little bit about the not expecting anything different from the nomination process, being able to get people fast-tracked in that. We do, and I know I didn't mention my opinion on that, so I'll go ahead and do that. I don't see anything wrong with blocking fast-tracking. While we do need competent people in these positions, they should be vetted. Whether they're vetted through a fast process or a slow one, I don't think it should be slow walked. I don't think Republicans should pull every single kind of trick that they still have to prevent a nomination from going through, or at least as slowly as they can to prevent it. I don't think that should be done, but I don't have an issue with standard politics of people trying to get as much information or as many gotcha questions as they can through the process. I don't have an issue with that.
That's how they prove that they're doing their job.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the only time anybody pays attention to what they're doing is if they're fighting over somebody or something in that trial-like atmosphere. But what I'm wondering is what the rationale is going to be if they do. Like, what's the political trade-off? Is this it's not worrying me because of course, a big part of me, not even deep down, like right up on the surface, loves the fact that Biden spent the whole day today, instead of partying, like undoing executive orders from Trump. Like, I think that that's fantastic. I don't know if they could say, well, if that's how you're going to play it, buddy, we're gonna make your life miserable. It's
Listen
kind
here,
of
Jack.
it's kind of like what. If I don't sound as corny as possible, then I'll just drop F-bombs the whole time. Like, I only have two speeds. It's mom and, like, crazed driver or something. That's all I've got. So, this is fucking
Afro on the road.
Road rage Afro. That's it.
We need to get you into a debate with some of these people so that you can drop truth knowledge bombs on them.
I want to do that. I want to.
They like cursing, right?
Yeah, they're fine with it. You got to have a little bit of 1-2 punch toss and tumbles for these people in order for it to be entertaining. You can't be just all dry.
Yeah.
Like dry. No, I'm not gonna make that joke.
What do presidents usually do on their first day, though? I feel like that's perfectly fine for Biden.
They have a bull usually, but they sign a couple of things. I forgot what it is that he signed today. Something everybody does. I don't remember the name of it. And they sign a couple of things, and they have a bowl and parties and lunches and things.
Usually, the first day is hobnobbing and getting to know some of the staff that actually works at the White House and that sort of thing.
Yeah, I guess
things like that. But
when do they have the bull? Because they definitely do that.
All night, the same day. Yeah.
Oh, it is. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's what they do. They typically hobnob and just celebrate. Usually the first day is just a gimme.
I'd be the biggest killjoy president. I'd be like, no ball.
Yeah.
Everyone be like, but it's tradition or something. I'd just be like, oh.
Only if I could wear Lady Gaga's dress, then I would go.
Me too.
Oh, that's fun. My green screen is greening out my yellow cup. Anyways, so CDN is saying that people are reporting Antifa smashing windows of the HQ of the Democratic Party in Oregon.
How would they even know that by now? It could be anybody smashing windows.
Well, let me look that up really
It's
quick.
always Antifa. It's always them. And
I just love the instant analysis. It's like, boom, we already know it's Antifa. Let's start reporting now. It's like, maybe. Like,
I'm not seeing anything in major headlines.
It was windy. My garbage can got knocked over. It was Antifa.
The guy was wearing all black. I swear, it was Antifa.
Right?
Maybe it was a raccoon, an Antifa raccoon.
Well, you got to have your animals trained humanely in order to do your bidding, right?
Yeah.
But to CDN's question, I just did a cursory search for it. Didn't see anything on the first 4 pages of Google search engine, so I doubt that's happening.
I was about to say, even if it did happen, like, where would that report even come from? Who would have that type of conclusion all ready to go?
Right? People.
Unless it was early. It could have been a lot earlier. I'm being sort of a dick.
Sands and they're dressed in all black. Yeah, I mean, sure. It's Antifa, right? Like if in Oregon of all places, it wouldn't surprise me. If
Don't get me
they
wrong,
actually did this.
CDN, I'm quick to, I have no problem judging these people and everything, so
Oh yeah, fuck.
I don't think I'm being unfair here, but I just think it's a little hasty to say if it's Antifa or not. Like, it's easy for anyone to wear all black, which is pretty standard if you're going to be doing that type of shit anyway. It's not like it's not like, oh, I'm going to wear my all white so they know I'm not Antifa. It's just you're going to wear it anyway because just the type of shit you do.
Unless you're part of Identity Europa and warping as Trump.
Yeah. I'm just saying it's pretty quick to have a conclusion on who is doing it. I feel like the police report probably doesn't even say that much yet.
Yeah.
Or,
Okay.
I mean, the police department.
Right.
I don't know. I'm trying to be...
Charitable. Do the right thing.
Nah, the opposite, actually. I'm kind of being a dick.
I think
A little bit,
I'm
like-
definitely in a be a dick mood today too. So
Yeah. I mean, I've been celebrating it. I don't normally drink it. I've been drinking, so...
Oh, okay.
I don't even really
just
celebrate.
started.
This is an excuse. Here, what do you have?
I got
Perfect,
I mean,
right for the
we-
occasion.
we do, on Crowdsourced Politics, we do kind of, we don't run the gamut so much on political leanings, but we try to be fair.
No.
Yeah.
And
It's like a bunch of lefties and me.
Okay.
why does everybody think I'm such a lefty? I'm really not. I'm
Because
really
you're
not.
Afra,
well,
and you're a woman.
You wouldn't really be considered so much like you're on the left, of course, but like I would say you're more a Democrat than you are a leftist, if that makes any sense.
Maybe, I don't know. Well, I was
Compare-
raised to be a Democrat, but now I just kind of, if something's important enough to me to know about it, I just spend a lot of time, and I just like to think of myself as more of a theorist. That's all.
No labels.
No labels. Yeah.
I'll be honest. I know Mateo would probably consider me pretty far left. I consider myself Rawlsian left. So, but Art, our other recurring podcaster, he's pretty like left libertarian. So we try to keep things fair as much as we can. It's really hard, at least in our Facebook community, to find people that are conservative that will
it is.
follow our rules. We do have rules about decorum and somewhat about the level of debate structure that we want. And
Conservative politics kind of caters to the lowest common denominator. Like, and I feel like I lean far enough right where I can say it without being labeled as some like just bullshit artist. So it's going to be harder to find like not even necessarily educated people. You could just be calm and collected and like willing to like admit your own like identity's faults.
Yeah.
And there are definitely a few. I'm not going to name any names, but there are some really, really good ones, even in our little circles, that are really smart. But I think we're going to be fair. There's a lot of stupid lowest common denominator shit on the left too.
Oh yeah.
But
sure.
what Anthony said about this basic idea of a debate structure that is not, very heavily dependent on GIFs and emojis, is like it seems like it's almost like there's a different language going on in left leaning places and then in right leaning places, and then when they come together, they're not really speaking the same language.
Exactly.
And we don't do politics the same way. And there's some people who can go back and forth, between those two, like code switching as they call it, and there's some people who can. And then it becomes really, really hard to run a group like that. We've all run groups, so we all know kind of how that is.
Nothing is a better proof that truth is relative than seeing people in political groups. Like, actually, I was going to go somewhere with that, and I totally just lost my train of thought. So.
It'll come back.
It will after the podcast is over, and I probably sobered up.
No.
And then I'll be laying in bed. It's like, oh, it'll be too late. That was me with covers over by the anyway.
So there's some interesting news that came out about Biden's kind of foreign policy stuff, and it looks as though Biden will either begin to recognize or will recognize Juan Guaido from Venezuela,
Oh, yeah.
of Venezuela to be the
I think
president.
I said it wrong.
What are your guys' thoughts about that? I could go on all day about this kind of thing. But
I
I'm
wish I knew
interested
a
to hear
lot more
yours.
about it than I do. Honestly, I just had a conversation on the Discord with Chad or Chris, was it? And
Joe?
I was not Joe. Wow.
Yeah.
I'm an asshole.
No, it's all good.
We knew that
Tyler
already.
or Skylar or whatever. It doesn't matter. But and I was not prepared for that conversation at all. He said one thing, I'm just like, oh, and I had to just start asking questions because I really wasn't ready to assert anything. So I wish I knew more about it. I actually kind of embarrassed I don't. I usually try to follow these things.
I think
Go ahead, Afra.
no.
No, please.
First, I think we talked about this one of the last times I was on here, and about how difficult it has been to pay attention to what I think a lot of us really loved about political debate, which is the foreign affairs aspect of it. And it's been so all-consuming, and domestic issues have like completely sucked the oxygen out of it that I don't even think we should blame ourselves for it. But the question I have is, like a broader one, what are the negatives to recognizing or at least being in dialogue with people who fairly or unfairly run their country? And I don't know enough about this situation. Is it a situation where there is a proxy government, or is it a situation where we don't agree with their methods? I mean, I didn't like what Trump did in North Korea, but I like the general idea of it, which is to say, let's see what happens when we talk to this person. The problem was that Trump wasn't really capable of that, and he saw major successes before anything had really actually happened. But I understand that when you recognize someone and you're from the United States, you offer them a certain amount of legitimacy, but that is still, that's still just a cover. It's just a facade. It's something. It's an appearance of legitimacy. And is protecting that appearance or lack of appearance of legitimacy so important when you can't talk to the people, you can't have diplomatic relations with people? I'm not saying open up trade immediately, but what is the point of that? Refusing to recognize or have embassies in places and things like that.
Right.
To pressure people. Like it's
yeah.
soft power of the hardest kind, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, for sure. To the broader point, I don't personally find, anything wrong with opening up or normalizing relations with as many people as possible. I was in support of Obama doing it with Cuba, and I know that will piss off a lot of Cubans and some right-wing people that think that we should exert maximum pressure.
No, I was in favor of that too.
But at the same time, there is something to be said with denying that or putting in economic sanctions against individuals or companies and that sort of thing in order to exert pressure for the kind of reforms that we want. So see China, we opened up normalized trade relations with China, didn't do anything about their human rights abuses whatsoever, and they just got progressively worse as time went on.
Yeah.
That was one of Friedman's biggest mistakes or misunderstandings about how economic freedom works. Generally, he thought that economic freedom would end up resulting in, personal freedom.
He was right about that, though. I mean, they're not America, but they are relative to where they were.
Relative to where
They have
they were,
a lot of those benefits
sure.
Friedman said would come about with market reforms.
Sure, to an extent, but it's still a overly repressive state that's committing
Absolutely.
genocide right now.
Sure,
So
absolutely.
What I mean to say
They also have a
is-
whole lot of power.
yeah.
We're
Big
talking
time.
about China. They have an amazing amount of sway in a totally different part of the world that I think we can't get too big for our britches, to use another momism, and think that refusing to recognize or sanctioning or refusing to open up markets with them is going to have the same kind of effect it has on Venezuela.
Right.
Yeah, we definitely, there's no option for that. Even with Trump's huffing and puffing, we got nowhere with that. We're too ingrained. We need them as much as they need us.
Yep.
So to actually cut ourselves off would be as disastrous as I was afraid of back when Trump first started talking about it.
Yep.
It didn't materialize. Like, I probably said a lot of doom and gloom and fear-mongered and shit, but it could have been a lot worse. So that's at least how I try to save face. It could have been as bad as I said it was going to be.
To the particular point of Venezuela, in my opinion, and I think this is borne out by the facts, but I don't want to get too bogged into the weeds, there hasn't been a free and fair election in Venezuela since 2015 or 2014, when Juan Guaido's party and the opposition as a coalition won the majority of seats within the then parliament of Venezuela. What ended up happening was after their victory, there was some general kind of like discontent, and like some people like, oh, maybe you cheated or whatever. Fine, like that's a democratic process. You got to go look at that and judge for yourselves if there was cheating or not. But in addition to
Were
that,
there international observers?
There was international observers. The international observers said that the election was more or less fair. I can't tell you the exact amount of percentage or what there was in there and stuff.
I mean, that's all we can really rely on after a certain point.
Yeah, and what ended up happening is that the basically to uncertify the election, Maduro stacked the Supreme Court with loyalists and family members. So after their Supreme Court was stacked with loyalists and family members from the exiting Congress, the Supreme Court ruled in Maduro's favor, called a new constitutional assembly, and the new constitutional assembly was full of was basically nepotism times 1,000, and they basically wrote a new constitution that eliminated some powers. They eliminated one of the legislatures, so they had like their own. They had a bicameral system, and they eliminated the upper house, basically collapsed it into one house, and essentially called for a snap election. The opposition was not defeated, but they lost in the election because if you're pulling shenanigans, people are just not going to participate, right? And so that's essentially what happened. So there hasn't been an actual, in my opinion, a free and fair election in there since the previous one. I think it was 2015. And from my knowledge of how this goes, part of the reason why you have a lot of leftists and people that are staunch supporters of pretty much any left-leaning government in Latin America is that
are they even left-leaning? Like, a lot, we like to say all socialism is left-leaning, but it's not. I mean, the Soviets were pretty right-wing compared to who they were competing with.
I'm not talking about Venezuela specifically. I'm talking about some of the people in the United States that consider themselves left-leaning but support Latin American socialists.
Are you talking about like fake tankies, or?
Some of them are fake tankies. Some of them are just like
a lot
fuck
of
America.
Bullshit tankies who think Maduro's the man for no reason, just other than America sucks.
I've been told that I want to turn the United States into Venezuela many times, and every time I don't know what the fuck that means.
It means
they don't either. I bet you they don't know either.
It means bread lines and other less access to healthcare and that sort of thing.
I'm pretty sure that we have those things already.
Right?
I was gonna make a joke and I realized like you're just absolutely right.
Yeah. But to wrap it up, essentially, there's a huge racist component involved in Venezuela, like a lot of Latin America. The Maduro's party is supported by a lot of the indigenous population, and Guaido's and the opposition has got a lot of European-esque. I don't know what they call them over there, but basically white
Spanish.
people.
Come on, the Spanish are from Europe. We got to stop calling every Spanish person not white. Like these are people who basically took over. Sorry, what?
I just don't know. Like, there's different ethnicities involved in this in Venezuela specifically, and I just don't know who they all are. That's all I'm saying.
Okay. Because I was about to say there's a strong like. I don't know. There's too much to go into, and I'm not going to do it any justice. I'm just going to look dumb. So move on.
I've basically.
There are definitely racial differences in most countries in North and South America have significant.
Like within,
and that's
what I was trying to get at. I probably You know, never mind.
It's all good.
No,
man.
I got it. I got you.
Yeah, I got what you're saying.
Like I said, I don't normally drink.
I do. That's why I'm doing okay right now.
Me in high school was a different story, man. I used to be able to. Actually, that was bad.
I
I
drink.
did not. I
and
did
know
not drink
things.
in high school or college.
Oh man, I was a demon in high school.
I started
I don't
drinking
even know
in
how
my
I
30s.
graduated.
On a wing and a prayer.
Teachers liked me actually. Some of the football coaches taught and
Well,
gave me answers to the final.
see,
So I
you
didn't.
were just a football player. You're one of
But
those
it's not
jockey
even like that. I
douches.
wasn't like a starter, like star or anything. Like it was just I was cool as hell with this dude. He was Bill Curlis. He was an Olympic archer. If you
Okay.
ever want to. I don't know why I'm
interesting.
saying that. That means nothing. Like, by the way, he was an Olympic archer. In case anybody out there cares on CSP.
Actually, I do care because my kid's an archer. So
Oh shit! Cool. Yeah. So anyway, I didn't have to do anything all year, and he gave me the answers to the final, and it was great.
Lost my camera. I'll be
And other teachers.
you're frozen, Anthony.
Yeah, you are.
Yeah, I'm
I
restarting
hear you.
it now.
My principal too. I was really cool with him. If every time I got like in school suspension, it was just me hanging out with him all day. Like, and I brought him breakfast and shit. It was like better than chilling with friends.
Yeah, well, because you were probably a cool kid. I mean, most kids are
I
not really that
was.
cool.
I was. I mean, I'm a real dick now. Like, I'm way different than I used to be. I was so much more just like chill. Now I just like hate people.
You got involved in politics and lost your faith in humanity.
Yo,
so
That's
a
what
lot of it
happens.
is that. Like,
That
a
is-
lot of it is
yeah.
that. Yeah. Actually,
And-
to tell you the truth, voice, like if you do voice chat politics, it's a lot
Yeah.
better than text politics.
Yeah.
For some reason, text is just like, and I do it too. I'm definitely guilty of it. Like, I don't want to act like I'm above this shit, but like people almost have to like amplify themselves, so they almost pick something that's just more eye catching, and usually that's just more dramatic. But when you're doing it, when you're talking voice to voice or face to face, it's totally different because like you actually have to go. You have these little ticks or these little pauses
Yep.
that. It doesn't convey, because when I type a message, it sounds like, you know, I know everything, blah, blah, blah. I'm typing it right away. But it took me maybe like 5 minutes to even get all that shit together.
Yeah.
So if I'm doing it on voice, I'm going to be a lot more, let's say, insecure. Or you're going to hear it in my voice that I'm not trying to be so adamant. And it just creates a
Right.
way better atmosphere for discussion. And
Yeah.
that's why I'm on Discord voice chatting all day now. I don't even do Facebook anymore because it's just text chatting is hell.
It's really
Like-
easy to get for people not to read you right too, because you kind
Yeah.
of like you look. I think a lot of times people will scan, even if I write something that I think is completely nonpartisan, just kind of musing about the topic or offering like some information. Somebody's gonna read that and be like, that crazy libtard wants us all to die or something, you know.
You want it to be Venezuela.
Yes, you want to be Venezuela. So then the next thing is that I have to clarify myself, but at that point, like, you're upset because, you
Yeah.
know, so it just
The clarification
it's
just looks
really
like bargaining to them.
And the
Yeah.
podcasting, and even if you're not podcasting, like I just sometimes just get on Zoom with a bunch of people and talk about what's going on, and where, you know, we might have an argument if it was happening on Facebook or Twitter. You know, no arguments at all. Everybody just kind of wants to hear each other out, and
Yeah,
the
it's so much
voice
better.
is the voice, and you get a better sense of the person's personality, and you can see them, and so you learn a little bit more than you do with just text and like somebody's like angry profile picture.
Yeah, and everybody reads into text. That's the main.
Yeah, there's
thing
no
with this.
inflection when you type something. So like when I say like what I think is a funny joke that sure it's like sarcastic and it's, you know, not exactly all flattery, but like people will just like take it as some huge insult. And I mean, I do it a lot so I can understand the mistake, but there are times where it's like, come the fuck on, I'm joking with you. Like I'm clearly like it's not hostile at all.
Yeah, but in
I
my brain, you're
don't
like
have an
yelling at
example.
me and frothing at the mouth. So
Yeah. I mean, it's not all their fault. Like I do come pretty hot sometimes. So I mean, I can understand to an extent. I can understand the confusion, but there are times where it's like, there's no way I'm not joking with you. Like when people take me like as a right winger, like super right winger, that's when I'm just like, come on, like the fuck, like what do I argue that really gives you that impression?
yeah, and,
True.
and yeah, so I agree with that. What else do we need to talk about? That was Venezuela getting into the Paris climate, back in the Paris Climate Accords. That can be done through executive action. But there was something else major. It's
Did they mention anything about Trans-Pacific Partnership? I would really like
did
that.
Not,
No,
I did not
I don't
see
think
that
so.
at all. I think that's
Too
dead.
bad.
That's not dead. But
It's
I
not
think
dead. It's going on without us.
No, I think what
we should just
what
join.
I mean by dead, I think it's going to happen under the radar, where it's not going to be a huge show of things. I think it's
That's
gonna
too
be,
bad. Like I don't know why. Like people don't.
Yeah.
because of
I never really got that either.
Yeah.
It's because people blame
Everyone
NAFTA.
ran against it in 2016, and
Yeah.
It was the dumbest arguments. Everyone's like, our sovereignty. It's like, it has nothing to do with fucking sovereignty. It's a agreement that we enter that we could also leave if we so please. How is that limiting our sovereignty? That's like saying my user agreement on Facebook is limiting my rights as an American. It's like, no, you're allowed to waive certain things, and you're also allowed to
some
back out of an
people
agreement.
are saying that.
Oh, well, yeah, actually, they really are. That's a really good example, actually. But I don't know, it's just a dumb argument. And free trade, or whatever you want to call it, free trade is a bad word because it's associated with laissez-faire trade or something. I don't even know. But international trade unions are a really good thing all around. Everyone almost always benefits in the large scale. You could find certain sectors of an economy, certain farmers that, due to imbalances, they missed out. And there should be programs in place to cushion that, or at least transition them wherever else. Or if you want to be a dick about it, learn to code, like.
Yeah. Well,
But to actually act like we're submitting, like we're just giving up our sovereignty is like, it's the dumbest thing. Like these are the arguments we're having with adults.
Yeah.
And they read the same things we do. They have access to the same info. It's like, where does this come from?
Well,
a misunderstanding
yeah.
misunderstanding of like how NAFTA destroyed jobs. You gotta understand, like, a lot of people have different political philosophies and economics and things like that, and so they kind of just go with maybe what people are telling them or how they actually interpret.
Some economic
how the data
philosophies
goes.
are a little too intuitive to be respected.
The kitchen table, view
Yeah.
of
Yeah, exactly.
I think this raises for me an opportunity to get out of our bubble. We're already starting to talk about international things. Brexit is basically a total mess, as you probably have heard. Have you heard?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's been dragging ass for a long time. I feel like most of the people who voted are dead now.
Finalized. But it finalized.
I mean, voted to leave, not voted in general.
Brexit finalized, and essentially what's happened is that they get what they basically had. They kind of got the deal that Sweden has, where they have an economic union without all the regulations, but they still have to follow like fishing treaties and some of the other bigger things that.
Isn't that kind of what they had before?
Essentially, like,
because they were like a de facto member. They kept a lot of, like, they should not have left that union, man. They had it so made when the union first got started, because Britain was, I mean, they're still pretty powerful, but back then they had a lot more sway, and they could just say, no, I don't want to join. So they were getting so much more concessions, and they just got rid of that. They just threw it out the door. And now if they do want to come back, everyone's going to smell their desperation, and they're not going to get a sweetheart deal like that.
When did they work out the fishing situation? Because the last
I
I heard,
know.
it was still the import-export businesses were having a serious issue, particularly because of COVID, and
they sending a
different
naval ship
travel
out there?
restrictions.
I don't know exactly when. I just know that they finally came to a deal, and that it changed some of the things that they really cared about, but not everything. I think some things are going to be still negotiated for, but it seems that they got the kind of deal they were hoping for without some of the major concessions. That person who does stuff, is my mic volume good now?
Yeah.
Oh, wow, we've got an active chat bar.
Chat. Thank you for the stuff. What do we think about Biden trying to basically get 8 million people pathway to citizenship at this point? Do we think that that's actually a thing that's possible? I know it was one of the things he campaigned on, especially for the DACA people. And I think DACA should be dreamers. Sorry.
I think it also includes people who are not currently DACA.
Yeah, no, this is everybody. So it's anybody that they have to go through a process of ensuring they pay taxes, that they get a background check and stuff like that. And then after, I think, 3 years, they can get green card. And then after the 5-year green card requirement, they can get citizenship. So it's like a 3-year delay to being able to get a green card, and then after 5 years with the green card, they can apply for citizenship. Do we think this has any chance in hell of passing in Congress, or do we think that this might be something that can be handled through partly executive action, as it's been doing for the last 20 years at this point? Afra, please go ahead.
I love it. I love the idea, and this is why. I think it's a great choice. I know that the people who are really into healthcare, and I am too, believe me, I pay a lot of money for healthcare, want us to tackle that first. But this is a really big issue. It's essentially the issue that brought us to the brink of this, strange isolationist, nationalist government that we had, almost. And it's going to keep coming up. And what we need to do is just shine a full light on it. Make them debate it. Make them talk about it. Because I've been talking to people about this for the better part of 10 years, and most people don't realize that there is almost zero pathway to citizenship for immigrants who are coming with certain skills from certain countries. And there's a persistent misunderstanding amongst Americans that there is just like a right way to do it, and that you could just send, let's say an 11-year-old girl back to her own country because she didn't do it the right way, and in a couple of years she'll get to come back here. Now that's sort of cruel on its face, but it also isn't true. And the more that they talk about immigration, the more that this comes, because we have a lot of immigrants. I run into people all the time who are DACA or would be DACA, but they are still undocumented, because remember, DACA kids are not undocumented. And I think the number one thing that this could do is really clarify for the voters what the immigration situation is, how complex it is, and then give people an opportunity to actually understand it, so that we're not offering up fucking Bronze Age solutions to a problem that we don't even fully understand, like building walls and putting people in concentration camps. I know people won't agree with that, and stoning. All right, that might be next, Mateo. I don't know, because I'm looking around and I'm like, this is fucking crazy. Yes, let's do it. Let's do this. Let's do this, and bring it all out in the open so that people actually understand what the fuck they're voting for.
I think part of the issue is that people have this misconception, and it used to be true, that the immigration had a quota system. Where you couldn't, it still has a quota system, but it was like very much like hard and fast quotas, and you couldn't take people from certain countries and that sort of thing. And they tried to get away from the whole racialized quota thing and give people from other countries a chance, but you don't want to have too many people because you don't want brain drain and that sort of thing. So they had like a lottery system. People are like, well, what's a lottery system? Isn't it merit? Well, the lottery system is merit based. It's just a lottery because they have so few tickets, I guess, tickets to give people to immigrate legally.
Yeah. So even on merit, it's still by lottery.
And so, and then people are like, well, can't they just, like you said, can't people from Mexico just wait in line? There is no line. There is a average of a 20-year wait period, and it doesn't matter how skilled you are. If you're from Mexico, it doesn't matter if you're a doctor, if you're some genius, if you're a poor person, if you're just here to work for seasonal, or if you're just like kind of a seasonal worker, unless you're in the guest worker program, it doesn't matter. 20 years because there are too many quote unquote people from Mexico in the United States that have immigrated. So
is that a Trump thing, or
no? That's been the thing since like 1980.
Yeah.
Because if we need people, I feel like it changes month to month, quarter to quarter, whatever you want to measure it in. Like, it's hard to say, like, there's too many now. It's industries pop up all the time where we're at a loss for workers. So
yeah,
I feel like there should be a way to at least just be like, at least if you're of that opinion, just open the floodgates now, close them in a little bit. We need, I guess not floodgates, a little more targeted. Like, obviously if you're trying to fill certain jobs, you need people with the right skills to do it.
And there's a skills gap issue, like you said, it pops up all the time, and a lot of the time you could train for these jobs. You don't even necessarily have to have the skills, although you can find people who do if you cast a wider net, but sometimes it requires moving, or it requires changes that people can't make. If people are willing to move here to do it, and it's going to help get the roads built, and the buildings designed and stuff. I don't know. That's the thing. I feel like I don't even know enough about this. I've been arguing with people about it for years, about just these basic misunderstandings, like Anthony said, about there is no line. There's not a line to get into. And there are already people here, and there are people who have been here for 20 years and came here when they were 3 years old. Like, you have to do something about that. And I don't, and you might say, no, we don't have to do anything about it. It's not our problem. But eventually that kind of callousness, it finds its way into policy. Yeah. And it'll find its way into policies that might affect somebody who is not so different from you as you might see it. So, we need to know this stuff.
Especially with the Dreamers, because if you came here at the age of 16, we'll say 16 because that's old to some people in this argument. You came here at 16 and you're now 32. Well, you've been here for 16 years. You're pretty fucking Americanized, all right? Like, yeah. I had this argument with somebody, and it actually got them to see the point, and so I was like, oh, I got to repeat this at some point. And what ended up happening was this guy is like, hey, my granddad came into America when he was 2, and he was an immigrant, and he was Irish or whatever it was his whole life. And I'm like, okay, guy.
Yeah. He did it the right way.
His whole life he was Irish.
Hold on. This is what I said. So I was like, okay. So he came when he was 2, right? So he grew up in America. He's got an American kind of personality and view on life. He's socialized in America, went to school with Americans, and
he's an American national.
He's American national. He's an American then, right? Because that's
some
how
people separate nationality and citizenship, and basically, you could be an American and still be like, well, I guess that would be America, but you know what I mean. There's a difference between just being a citizen of the USA and being an American culturally. Yep.
And that actually broke through him when I brought this up. It's like, so he's American, and the guy's like, oh, I guess you're right, and it clicked. And so I think that's kind of the thing that we should talk about to some of these people, but other people just don't give a shit for whatever reason. It could be racism, it could be like law and order, or it could be any
people
number
see it
of
as like
things.
Almost like a way to get around it, or if they would probably call it a loophole.
Or but they don't want to simple. Encourage it. Like, there is
like, we're talking about people who
there.
have just been not born, but been raised, and their entire identity, their entire culture is in North America, in USA, and there is no deporting them really. Like, sure, when they were born, they were in Mexico, but to just send them to Mexico is literally just placing them at a bus station and saying, "Sayonara." Mm-hmm. If you don't know what sayonara means, well, you'll learn.
Yeah, it's really just kind of a shit show with the whole immigration thing. There is a book that I want to read, and I think other people should read it too, because it makes an economic case for immigration. It's called 1 Billion Americans by Matthew. Is it Iglesias? And I think that the case that he makes in that book, I've listened to him talk enough about it, and I kind of agree, is that we have the capacity, we have the land space in order to vastly increase the number of people living in the United States. And any time that we have, and he doesn't not right away, right? Like, it's not like just bring in 1 billion people and call it a day. No, that's going to cause issues.
Because we do have a lot of uninhabitable land as well.
Yeah.
There's a lot of really unforgiving land in America.
Right. But the point that he was making is that we have the capacity, if we have all these people in the United States in 10 years or 20 years, then you have more economic growth, you have more development, you have all these things that have knock-on effects, you reduce the issues with pensions and that sort of thing. There's a ton of places that you can develop, create jobs, as CDN is saying, to develop areas.
And Social Security too.
You'd be able to move people into rural America, and moving them into rural America would end up, developing rural America, providing the jobs in there. There's things, we need a ton of healthcare workers for either old age people or just in general, as people get more, as healthcare becomes more micro targeted, you're going to need more people for that. For example, dietitians. You're going to need more dietitians as we evolve our understanding of how diets impact healthcare. Well, where are you going to get those people from? Not in America. We don't have enough of those people to do this. So
And all the services now that we have for children too.
Yeah.
It's a lot more than just like your teacher, and maybe if you're real well off, you have a nanny. They have all kinds of tutors and pathologists and in-school aides and specialized teachers to teach all different kinds of things. And you have early childhood teachers, and you have tutors in colleges, people who have to run. I mean, the education has exploded, and we don't pay people very well, but we still don't have enough for the children and the students who need that kind of help. You know, and also traditionally a lot of immigrants or first generation people join the army, and that's how my grandfathers got citizenship. They were, as you said, nationals until, from the age of 3 until World War II, and they renounced their Italian citizenship to fight in the war. And that's how they got citizenship. These things are not available to them. We've actually fucking deported people who've served in the army, or we've deported their families. I mean, how is that something that is okay?
Especially from Republicans, like you talk about how much you care for the troops and everything, but you're going to deport somebody that might have enlisted under false pretenses, but served in Iraq for 10 years. Like, how are you going to deport somebody like that?
Or support the troops and deport their moms.
Right.
Like, that's what you're doing. Come on,
it's
guys.
It's kind of ridiculous. There's essentially a camp town in Mexico. I think it's in I don't know. I don't want to say a name place because I don't know exactly if it's true or not, but there is one. It's just across the border, and it has like a couple hundred ex-veterans that got deported for whatever reason.
Wow.
And it's just ridiculous. There's a person that created a nonprofit civic organization in this town to help resettle Mexican, I will call Mexican-American U.S. servicemen, and it's kind of ridiculous. Like, not kind of ridiculous. It's disgusting is what it is.
Yeah. It's a fucking shame. It's shameful.
All right. So on other notes, since this is a news roundup, what are our opinions about all the people that gotten arrested? gotten arrested over the last couple of weeks with the Capitol riots and how that is playing out.
We should also talk
and we should also talk about, is it Bennett? The woman from Colorado, congressman from Colorado.
Why am I timed out from the chat? I can't post links?
Oh, you should be able to. Oh,
Fuck
I gotta
you,
fix
Twitch. Join our Discord, everyone.
it's not it's not Twitch. It's Streamlabs that
There's
has an
Afra.
auto thing. I need to fix that, so I'll go ahead and throw the link in there for it. My bad. So let's see. I can do this. Where is it?
I mean, I got a meme video in there that I feel like everyone should watch. That shit is good. And it's not like controversial shit either. Well, I guess if you're like a far Trump dude, maybe, but it's funny. You should watch it.
All right. I
want to watch it.
So invite people. I don't know why it cleared out the links, but I'll drop that in chat here in a second. But
Discord is way better. Like if after you were talking about Zoom meetings earlier, you could just hang out on Discord. Like there's like a whole bar that hangs out. Never mind. I'm rambling.
No,
we're doing a podcast
cool.
about.
Yeah, but it's a live podcast, so people expect this kind of shit.
Chill in the Discord because it's cooler than you.
Okay.
Everyone, not just you, Afra.
I am looking up
It's cooler than all of us.
Yeah. It's Lauren Bobet.
Boebert.
I know who you're talking about.
Yeah, maybe
honestly,
I'm saying that wrong.
The gun lady.
My lizard brain tells me to love her so much, but she's crazy. Like, she is so crazy, man. It's not even a little bit. You heard her on the floor?
Yes.
It was probably even before January 6th. Like, she was so animated, so dramatic, so stupid about this shit.
She wasn't sworn in until like just recently. She just recently won her election.
Yeah. Like, I don't have a problem with her as much about the whole, I'll carry a gun to DC. That's not what outrages me as much. It's her crazy bullshit.
Yeah.
That just, like, if you thought Sarah Palin was bad, and I don't mean to, just because they're both females, whatever.
No.
They both look the same.
She
so
has
if you
a
really,
Sarah Palin kind of vibe to
she
her.
does. She does. And Sarah Palin was actually, never mind.
It's okay. You got to type.
It's a
We see
lizard
it.
brain. I forget what I was gonna say. She's just absolutely nuts. It's like I can't even imagine arguing with her because
No, you can't. You can't argue
it's
with that
so
person.
QAnon. Yeah, it's to the point where it's just like you're so bad, bad in the worst way possible. Not even in.
So to provide a little bit of context for this, the issue is that before January 6th, she I guess took people on tour of the Capitol grounds, and then on January 6th, she tweeted at 8:30 in the morning saying today is 1776.
Yeah.
And what does that mean? Well, it can only mean one thing.
Yeah.
It means that she's revolution and encouraging it, right?
I mean, possibly, most likely. It's not hard to see that, but I wouldn't be so closed on it.
I just got disconnected from my camera again. I gotta figure out what it said.
I don't know. I would like something a little more concrete than because it does seem like that. I lean to where you're leaning, or at least where you're going, but it's like
I think
there
it was
are
more
other
obvious
explanations.
It's more obvious with Trump, and I think he definitely incited that shit, because at that point the things he and Rudy and his kids or whatever or Flynn were saying really couldn't be interpreted any other way. And we have to remember that she was one of the people hearing that. She's not in control. She's not a power broker.
Mm-hmm.
And as much as part of me wants to see more people with minor criminal rap sheets in Congress, not major ones, okay? Not financial crimes, but the people who people who lived a little bit. She's not smart. And she's not playing this right. And all freshman Congress people are a little bit silly and trying to find their place. But I think that she's really somebody. What? Yeah, it's a bit much. But I think what she is she's a good barometer for what the other people heard. And what they heard was go storm the Capitol, and that we're going to fix this, when it was never possible that they were. That's why we started this out saying after the 6th, none of us really expected anything to happen today, because that was it. That was your shot, and you showed what you could do, and now the FBI is rounding you up. But I just think, if she did give that tour, she should probably be removed. If she gave it for those purposes, but otherwise, she's just another dupe, another mark of the Trumpist, methodology.
I think that she shouldn't. I think that she should be removed, rather, even if it wasn't because of the tour was given because of that. Simply because during the incident, she was posting on Twitter that Pelosi has been evacuated.
We're
moving through.
Yeah, that
we're
too.
moving.
I forgot about that.
Sort of
Absolutely.
stuff. And
fuck her, actually.
If you post today is 1776, and then you follow up we're moving, Pelosi's been evacuated, all these other things. Well,
the whole
I'm sorry to say, but
1776 thing.
Yeah.
I don't care.
And
But
you
didn't she,
gave a tour. She supposedly gave a tour to people. So
didn't she try to give out Pelosi's position though? Wasn't that something she did?
It was something.
I'm asking. I didn't read too much into
it's something in that. It's something to do with that. Let me.
Because if that happened, then obviously screw her.
I think it was just she just said that they should be. That Pelosi was on the move, but what my point is, if that is combined with having given a tour to people and pointed out where everybody's offices were, I mean, they obviously didn't get a tour of the tunnels or anything like that, but letting people know here are the different places where business is done, where people might go, where people might hang out. Those two things together are really alarming. I do still think that she's more of an idiot than an insurgent, or she was listening to what she's more brainwashed than anything, but she should not be there if that's what she was doing. She has to be removed.
There's
Let me just see this real quick. A person in chat, that person who does stuff, said she was broadcasting where they were and told people she was going into hiding or something of that nature. So it might have been a little less nefarious than what I was anticipating, but everything combined is pretty suspect.
I mean, no matter how you want to
Yeah.
slice it, yeah, there is nothing good about it at all. Like, there
Yeah.
is no saving, there's no defense of really what she did. There's only slight explanations of how bad it really was. Like the tour thing, that's hard to explain away, but it's also hard to say she was actually telling them where to attack. I mean, if they could prove it, then fucking get her, but
Yeah.
there's so much plausible deniability that it's just a shit show. And the sad thing is, we're probably not even going to get to the bottom of it.
Nope. Probably not.
And she might not even necessarily be more dangerous than some of the other idiots who've been there forever.
Yeah, that's true too. Oh. Covered that. Let's see what else is top stories. I should have done my homework a little bit better. It's all right.
We all should have. It was a big
what-
day.
That's why
Well,
we do
so-
the weekly shit, so we don't have to.
So, what? So with the other people that are getting arrested and that sort of thing, is there any sympathy at all? Is there, is it kind of just a big fuck you? Like, what are your thoughts about the other people that were engaged in the riot at the Capitol, and if there should be any leeway given to any of these people or anything like that?
No, why? There's people that make stupid decisions all the time because they're dumb or they got caught up in the moment, and they don't get any kind of special considerations when it comes down to whether they're going to face consequences or not. Let them plead their cases in front of a judge, and if a judge decides that they're particularly remorseful, okay, maybe that counts in some way. But right now we've got demands for pardons and insistence that they were just following orders.
Okay. I mean, that's a fair thing. Yeah, speaking of pardon, unless Mateo's got something to add.
Nah.
Okay. So speaking of pardons,
I mean,
there,
I'm just
go ahead.
too drunk to really hold
You're
a stable
not.
thought.
Keep saying you're too drunk.
I don't
but
drink
it's
at all.
good.
Like, because I don't drink. Like, you don't understand. Like, this is like, it's like I only had a little bit, but I suck right now.
So, speaking of pardons, Bannon got one. A slew of other people got one, and we have Rudy Giuliani trying to sell
Bannon.
pardons for $2 million. Let's talk about all this. What do we think about Bannon getting a pardon?
That's
I thought
classic
he
Rudy.
wasn't going
I love
to.
that.
Simply because he hadn't. Let me repeat myself. I thought that Steve Bannon wasn't going to get a pardon simply because he was not sufficiently loyal, and that's why he got kicked to the curb. You don't overshadow the king, as they say in power laws. But what are your guys' thoughts?
Yeah, but the game theory has changed now that Trump's not president.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
true.
Now that Trump's not president, Trump needs Bannon more than Bannon needs Trump. So
Yeah.
the calculus is totally flipped, and Trump's true. As dumb as he is, he's aware of that much. Like, he's a social enough person to pick up on that. So if he wants any semblance of any support at all, he's going to have to pick up on the Breitbart. I don't even know what to call him. Like, I'm not trying to be super offensive because we want to have like a wide audience, but like, if you read Breitbart post Andrew Breitbart dying, you're probably a crazy person.
I haven't looked at it in years, honestly.
It was bad when Breitbart was alive. It
Yeah,
just got so much worse after him. Like, Ben Shapiro type people are actually like, oh, I can't deal with them anymore. Like, that's how bad it is.
Yeah.
Like, and he's not even that great. Like, he's a sophist on.
Did you just say he's not that great?
Well, because he's fairly intelligent, and I know
Is he?
a lot of
Yeah.
conservatives or at least Republican types respect him. I don't know.
Well,
I'm just
yeah,
trying to be.
He destroys the libs every day,
Oh,
Mateo.
destroyed.
He writes his own headlines.
Annihilating them.
Watch Ben Shapiro destroy in caps.
Yes,
Stupid
everything.
lib. It's like a freshman at college too. It's like someone who doesn't know what they're even saying. He destroys them, and he's like, "Yeah, that's the lib left." It's like,
Yes, he goes.
No.
He finds the low hanging fruit, and then he.
Yeah.
I mean, as our favorite meme lords on Facebook do. They find something easy to go after, and then it makes them look brilliant by comparison. But I mean, I find that's intellectually lazy, in my opinion.
oh, big time.
For sure.
But I totally agree with the assessment that the reason Bannon got it, because I mean, I don't think there's a kingmaker who can make Trump king again, but he's the closest thing to it, and Trump had something to offer him, and so that relationship is healed, or at least can become transactional again in a way that benefits both of them. I don't think it's going to get him anywhere, but I can understand the impulse.
Yeah, the
Well-
only thing Trump could do now is upset Republicans in another election because they won't let him run as a Republican. He'll be an independent and he'll just take some votes from them. I'm not even kidding. Like everyone's
That's
talking about,
what will
like we need to do this and that so Trump can't run again. It's like you want Trump to run again. Like that's
Yes.
a gift because he's not going to be a Republican, and even if he is, it's going to be such an infighting bullshit fest that he's just going to implode the party. But like I said, he's not even going to get that far. He's not going to be on the Republican ticket. He's just going to be an independent.
I don't think so either.
Yeah, he'll be like,
I
I'm
do
running with-"
worry.
No, never mind.
I do worry about the people jockeying to take over Trump's legacy and base.
Yeah.
Hawley, that new freshman. I can't remember his name. Looks like he looks like he's chiseled from stone of of typical Aryan breed stock. Oh
Yeah,
wow. Okay.
that's gonna
I just
be
can't
a
Don't tell me the
problem.
Florida dude. Not the Florida dude. Not Gates.
No,
not
Gates
Gates.
looks
No, no.
like he got smashed in the face
Good.
with a.
I was about to say Gates is a doughboy. Don't do that. Don't do
Cart.
that.
I think it's Mick something. Blonde guy. He was involved in a car accident, so he's wheelchair bound.
Yeah, I know who you're talking about.
He
I can see why this is a dangerous thing if they're able to, but you can't.
Cawthorn. I just got
Cawthorn,
it. Madison
yeah.
Cawthorn.
Have you seen his signature? It's
I
pretty
have not.
hysterical. Somebody
But
said it looks like
he's a
it
really
was
big piece of
scrawled in
shit.
a Lisa Frank notebook.
Oh wow.
Do you know what that is? Or I'm the only girl on this podcast.
I know the name. Like I had a sister who read those, but I don't know what those are.
No, they're like the notebooks that had like unicorns on them and Lisa Frank.
Who's Lisa Frank then?
But Lisa Frank is just the name of the notebooks, like a brand of like stationery stuff that was
Oh, okay.
marketed to young girls in the late '80s. So
Oh
Yeah, that was
God,
before
I
my
do
time.
know what that is.
yeah,
I just
I am
googled it.
that old. I am.
I know that though. Oh yeah,
I'm gonna
okay.
Google it.
Never mind. I thought it was a book.
So
Lisa
anyway,
Frank.
I can see why this is really problematic because Josh Hawley or whatever his fucking name is, that total asshole, does look like you could put him in a Justin Trudeau like type Vogue spread and then suddenly everybody would think he was great. However, it's not going to be Trump because what Trump was is a thing that's dead. It's this 1970s like mixture between a business tycoon and a mob boss who walks around and talks in these sort of clips of, you know, of cartoonish, caricaturish, and nobody's going to be that again. And it appealed to a lot of people who it's not going to appeal to again. But we have to watch out for somebody who calls, I think, upon the thoughtlessness and just anger that wants to solve problems that people have that they're angry about by harming other people rather than by helping them. And I know that sounds super liberal of me, but you can't solve all your problems by harming who you think are your enemies or hamstringing them in some way. But that's the kind of person that Hawley is going to be, and probably the same thing with Cawthorn. And I think they are dangerous because they don't look like fucking clowns.
Nope.
They don't sound like them.
Does that mean you're inadvertently Team Cotton and not Team Holly?
Hell
I'm
yeah,
not
Tom
Team
Cotton all the way.
Eddie.
All the way.
But yes, probably. If I had to choose one. I'm kind
Next
of
to my-
liking Justin Amash right now.
Well, yeah, but Justin Amash
Right next to my Chris Kyle
base.
painting is
Right.
Oh man! For anybody that might not know why I'm referencing Tom Cotton in this is that he actually said that did not try to stop the certification. He was one of the people that broke from the people that I like to say are playing in the new exciting television reality show known as The Authoritarian. Trying to see who inherits Trump's base, and he broke from the pack. But I'm not sure. Did Nikki Haley break from that pack or not? I'm not entirely sure, but she's another person
She
that's
doesn't
trying
have to. Yeah. She didn't have a vote, so it.
Well, that's true. I
Tom
mean,
Cotton-
as far as
I don't care if he broke from that pack. He might as well be in it.
I mean, it's true. It's true.
No,
so.
I don't like Tom Cotton at all. I think he's Like I was trying to make a joke earlier, but it was not a good time. Like I have a Tom Cotton painting right next to my Chris Kyle painting. Like he is just the ultimate shill for Americana like rightism.
Yeah.
It's
bad.
stupid because like I have a lot of sympathy for those people, but he just totally fucking ruins it.
He doesn't look the part either. He looks like Mike Pence, kind of like a.
You ever see Mike Pence without a suit?
No.
No.
He looks so sloppy and
wait,
droopy.
yes.
Like the suit flatters him so much.
It does. He
Like
looks,
it's so obvious what a whatever you want to call it, those types of suits were created for, because it's so flattering. Like you could be so out of shape, you put on one of those, it's like, I don't know, it looks like he's got a pretty broad chest, broad shoulders.
yeah.
Meanwhile, it's like Mike Pence is like,
He's a
Mother.
typical Midwestern.
He's a pencil with
Midwestern,
shoulders.
Midwestern.
oh mother,
dude.
could you fetch me my nightcap?
Oh God. Okay. What else do you guys want to talk about? We've been streaming for about an hour and 15 minutes. We generally go for about an hour and a half, but we can call it early if we're done.
I miss Barack Obama.
Yeah. Well, we got to see him today, so
That's what made me start thinking about him a lot today, is because of that.
he
Like,
was on. They showed him a lot.
I have so many criticisms of him that you would think I hate him, but like he, as far as modern presidents go, he really is as good as we could have asked for. We had so little to even deal with. Not
Yeah.
little. Just as far as modern presidents go, we haven't had a really good one until Obama. Like I'm trying to even think.
There wasn't any rule scandals. There was some fake ones, and Fast and Furious was a continuation from Bush to the to the Obama administration. But
don't forget Benghazi.
oh yeah, Benghazi.
Yeah, God. Like I was all for them trying as hard as they want, but they found nothing.
There
like,
wasn't anything. No.
yeah, they searched high, far and wide. They didn't find shit. But yeah, I don't know. Just seeing Obama, like, it was a really good 8 years. Like it's weird too, because like you didn't know you were living it then. Like he was just like,
Yeah.
yeah, oh, he's a president. He's being whatever you want to call it. He's being cordial and professional. But after Trump, you really appreciate that shit.
Yeah.
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 I don't like to care about aestheticism in politics too much, but the amount of disrespect Trump brought onto the United States from abroad really diminished our standing in the world immensely.
Like he catered to a type of person who didn't understand American power as anything other than their military might. Like they had no idea that our reputation abroad matters that much, and they still don't. Like if you bring it up, they'll be like, "You pussy! Who cares what they think? We'll nuke everyone." It's like, okay, you're a fucking retard, and you should never vote. Like I just hate that shit so much. It's like, yeah, no, I don't want to rant. So
No, it's all good. We get you.
We could rant.
CDN did bring up a good point. There's only 4 working weeks left to negotiate the next stimulus package before the extended unemployment.
the $3,200 stimulus check. $1,200 the first time plus $600, and now it's plus $1,400, so it's $3,200, right? That's how this works.
Yeah, that's how it works.
Like honestly, like it's not a huge criticism of Biden, like, but anyone who's familiar with any even hint of marketing 101,
Yeah, it was
should have
bad.
realized what we were implying.
Yeah.
What even in the Georgia races, like, and the reason why is because Trump said 2,000, and they couldn't be less compassionate than Trump.
Yeah.
So like, yeah, 2,000. Then when the time rolls around, they're like, yeah, it's gonna be 1,400. It's a top up, and I'm sure they actually did reference that. It's not like they consciously pulled the wool over our eyes. But anyone, like I said, anyone with even an ounce of understanding of human psychology or marketing or
that's
should
the
realize
thing.
that all these people were under the impression we were getting 2K checks. Like
That's the thing.
Georgians,
the left doesn't know
everyone.
anything about marketing. Period.
But what kills me is
zero.
like these people have enough votes probably to pass the 2K checks. Like what is with them
So just
that they
do
can't
it,
just like why not just get rid of all that dumb small criticism and just give us the 2K checks?
Yeah. I think it's going to come up due to budget reconciliation, them not being able to expand the debt too much, and I think that's probably why they're shooting for the 1,400 number. They should have still said 2K, but I do have an inkling that that's probably going to be the case. As far as the rest of the stimulus bill, I think there's a lot of good in it. Other commentators have brought this up, but I think the increase in minimum wage is fantastic. I think the forgiving of some college debt, even though it's not a full forgiving, is also fantastic. That will be a huge stimulus boost to thousands of Americans. Well, maybe millions of Americans, to be honest. Almost everybody in my generation has some form of college debt if they didn't already pay it off. And I think that's going to help out a lot. I'm not sure, if they can forgive it all, but 10K is not something to sneeze at, even if somebody has, $350,000 in debt. They need other things to help with that than just forgiving maybe forgiving.
I don't think they should forgive college debt. I don't think they should forgive college debt until they have something in place, keep it from building back up.
Yeah.
Because otherwise we're just waiting on like the political whims of the zeitgeist.
Yeah.
To, help these guys out one after another in a stupid, arbitrary way where people are going to feel left out. So like, if you could have like public universities or something, some sort of like, just getting, I don't know, you just have to get rid of the whole issue that's creating the debt. If you're just constantly forgiving it, it's just, what if we have a bad president? What if we have a streak of like right wingers who don't agree with that? People are going to suffer.
If everybody who wanted to go to a public university had to pay $6,000 a year, right? $3,000 a semester, or $6,000 a year, including summer, winter, whatever, nobody would really feel like they were losing out. Because some people would have to work, in order to do that, or they'd have to get some kind of scholarships in order to make up that money. But we're talking about like $40,000 a year, and for a lot of people, and that's not Harvard. That's just like your regular private or out-of-state university, like for paying out-of-state tuition. But if that cost what it did in 1968, I don't think anybody would feel that they were losing out. The problem is that we just want to balance the budget on the backs of college students when it comes to public universities. And they've been doing that for a long time, lowering taxes so that they don't have to. So, and so now the solution that people have come up with, like in New York, is if you make under $110,000 a year as a family, you can go for free. And a lot of people say, well, I make $112,000 a year as a family, and then they start to they get a little salty about it. But the cost needs to come down for everyone, and do something to alleviate the big mistake we made with creating this student loan crisis for entire generations. You're talking about like all of Gen X and all of millennials, and now Gen Z is coming out with it too. And it's worse. It costs more for them.
That's why I say, we should actually address the problem. Like, getting rid of the debt is good too, but if we're not addressing the problem, it's more just like... Yeah.
It's just
it's a nice gesture. It's great.
Another 30 years, and then we're right back here if we don't.
It would be. It's a more of an immediate solution to do with that, but it's not solving the original problem.
Yeah, I just think it should. I think it should happen. It should just be accompanied with something like even what New York's doing. Even though they shouldn't have such a hard cutoff, they should have maybe like steps where. Like if you're making, like you said, 112, sure, your benefit might be lowered or something. So it doesn't just screw everyone out. Yeah, because it's such a hard line like that when it comes to economics. Is just it's
stupid, sloppy.
Yeah. So if they did something like that, like nationally, or just created like a public system where it's taxpayer funded, I would be very happy, because the debt is the problem and we should get rid of it. But if we're not getting rid of the driver of that problem, then it's kind of just more like a, hey, look what I did.
Yeah, you're just
it's like giving turkeys to poor people on Thanksgiving.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is.
It is, yeah, but it can function as a stimulus if it's done all at once, and that it's like a major forgiveness, and in the short term, which is how politics works more frequently than not. We all want long-term solutions, but they're looking for short-term most of the time. I could see why it makes sense, and it will certainly help people. And this is my thing about all kinds of government programs. You can help people without solving the problem, and you can also solve problems without actually helping people. And you really need to always like have both, and be able to message it so that people understand it as a comprehensive solution that will see immediate benefits and also long-term solve the problem. Like food stamps don't solve the problem of people needing food stamps. They solve the immediate problem of hunger, right? What if you had a comprehensive solution to solve all of that? Same idea.
For sure. I think part of the issue with the schooling cost is the increase of cost of living. Hold on a second. And a lot of about half of the cost for attending college is room and board at this point. And so it makes it impossible for people to work their way through school because of that huge increase. I worked during the summers, and while in college, I was doing 20 to 30 hours a week working while in college, and also had a double course load because I was a double major. I was trying to graduate on time. And I still had to take out. I went to a private school, so that's partly my fault. But I still had to take out a ton of debt because my money went to board and books. That's all it went to. It went to have for food and books, nothing else. Like maybe $20 here or there for drinking on a weekend or something. But
yeah. No, I had no money left. Like you said, maybe I could go out and I don't know, buy makeup or something. I didn't really drink or go out. But I think even if you take out, room and board has gone up significantly. One of the reasons for that is that people want more and more luxurious accommodations.
True.
And they want the students who want the luxurious accommodations because those students pay full price.
Yep.
So everybody ends up having to pay for that. But even if you exclude that from the price of college, it's still gone up, I think something like 300% in the last 20 years. And that is a lot of its instructional technology costs, it's additional administrative things, it's additional security, it's a lot of like priorities that didn't exist in the 1980s or the early 1990s. So the price is going up anyway. And the bigger problem, and I don't want to lecture about this, the bigger problem is that they created a budgetary crisis for themselves that they can't get out of without continuously raising tuition. And they created this, it's wasteful competition amongst different colleges because what they're competing with each other for is a lot of it is instructional technology, but a lot of it is also just perks,
amenities.
Right? It's just amenities that can be filed under the idea of retention of students or attracting the students who are going to have their parents cut a check every semester for the full amount without going to Uncle Sam.
It's a huge problem with that. But to the amenities situation, like my school was super expensive, and there was one year that I had 3 people in a room that was probably no bigger than the office I'm sitting in right now. It had a bunk bed, had a bunk bed and a bunk bed desk. So that was how many people were in the room, and it was pretty ridiculous.
That's how it was when I was in college too.
I lucked out. I had a 3-person room with just me and one other roommate.
Yeah, but it was supposed to be 3 people, right? So
honestly,
it's not
it makes a huge difference back then.
Yeah,
it was supposed to be. We got lucky.
Yeah, exactly. So
that extra space is like, it's so crazy how much that means to people.
It was gross.
Looking back on it, I was living in luxury. I had a couch. I could fit a couch in there.
There you go. See. But it's living situations are still very kind of like military roommate. Maybe they're suites, but it's like, cool. You have like a floor with a kitchen and a shared bathroom, and that's it. But you might be in a situation where you're still in a small dorm room with one person, and you use furniture to create privacy. It's not like they got like
they're like summer camp. But that's I'm not seeing that around here so much. I am seeing like ensuite bathrooms and private rooms or large doubles that are if there's not a whole lot of privacy, they're at least very new and have all new amenities and things like that.
And there's nothing wrong with that. I'm just saying it's not like it's not night and day from the 80s is what I'm getting at.
Yeah. I think it really depends on where you are.
Okay. Is there anything else you want to talk about? We are at 1 hour and 28 minutes.
I could always talk about something.
Oh yeah, I can go on.
I think there's usually a topic we always forget.
I know. Did you remember what you
foreign
were?
Policy.
Me, no. I'm not going to remember. It's going to be like later tonight when I'm laying in bed trying to go to bed.
Aww.
I'll post it on my wall and everyone will be like, what the fuck is that?
Let's see. Well, in that case, then I am going to go ahead and say we are done for tonight. Thank you, everybody, so much for joining us. We hope that you enjoyed the show. Please hit that follow button, like us on YouTube, find us on your favorite podcast, and subscribe to our RSS feed. And as always, keep your head up. Your political storm.
Fancy.